Hi, Beck. How's it going? I'm Helene.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to officially meet you over here.
Yeah.
I've actually watched the film, so I feel like I know more about you than than you probably do about me. So, I know we don't have so much time, but I want to first and foremost say thank you for your time today and for sharing your story in the film that I was very lucky to be able to watch this past
Thank you.
weekend. So, first, I would like to start there. And I guess, just to dive into it, did you ever think that you would be, I guess, the star of a movie in such a way?
No,
Okay.
there was no chance. It still feels very surreal. It premiered here in Australia on Event Cinemas, which is I don't know what in America your big cinemas are, but it's the biggest cinema we have here in Australia. And to go into a cinema and sit down on the seats with popcorn, and then all of a sudden my face comes up on the screen, I was like, "What is going on?" So yeah, it feels very surreal. It doesn't feel real at all. But it's amazing. I'm really happy with the end product. I'm really happy with how the filming went, and how Tom Haramis, my producer, told the story. And I've had such great feedback for it as well. So I'm really excited for it to premiere in the UK and then eventually the US as well. So yeah, it's been really good.
Amazing. I am definitely very excited for us to be able to, showcase it to our communities here. We're in Canada, and I
Yeah,
know that who we were speaking with was the UK. I think is the next premier stop, and then
yes,
hopefully it'll make
hopefully.
its way across.
Yeah.
Something that you had mentioned. How difficult was it, reliving your story through this version, of
Yeah.
this?
It was really tough. It was a very we did probably it was about 1 day of filming in the house, just talking about everything that happened, and it was one of the toughest days. I wasn't really prepared for it. I didn't realize that I had buried a lot of emotions and I'd buried a lot of memories that I hadn't even, I buried them so well I forgot that they even happened. So Tom did a really good job of, getting those memories back out, but in a respectful way. Nothing was forced. It was all very, it was like an intimate little room where there was only 3 or 4 camera crew, and he just said, take your time. And which I did. It took a whole day to get that. It's probably what 10 minutes of film in the doco, but that took us a whole day to do. And it was an emotional roller coaster. But I kept telling myself, this isn't for me. This is for the people I can help with this. And that's what got me through it. But yeah, it was hard, and I'm such an ugly crier as well. So I was like, don't. I could feel my lip quivering, and it was a tough day, but it was yeah, we got there. We got there in the end.
I think people are more worried about you in terms of the story and the I guess what happened as opposed to what you look like crying. So I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about that.
Thank
Um,
God.
and something that is really staggering, obviously, are the one, your story is unfortunately not unique. I
Yeah.
think, your story and sharing it, I think, is unique. I think that there's a lot of women that aren't able to share their story.
Mhm.
I guess something that, what do you think provoked you to do this? Did someone approach you, or was this something that you decided to do on your own?
Yeah, look, I met Tom Haramis, my producer. We met through another sponsor. He was doing a lot of their videography and stuff for a sponsor, and I was at an event, and I'd been very vocal leading up to that about everything that happened
Okay.
on social media and things like that. So I've never been the one that's been really quiet and ashamed of what happened. I've always been really vocal and spoke out against domestic violence against my ex-husband, just within the MMA community, in hopes that he would not get his teeth sunk into another girl. I just really felt like it was important to share it and hopefully save someone else from getting into the same situation with me. So he'd already known about the story, and so at the end of the event, he's like, "Beck, we need to make a doco." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "No, you've got a story." He's like, "You've got a really powerful story that could help a lot of girls out there and men out there." So he believed in it, and he kind of convinced me to do it because I was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "It's like I was like, I know it's a tough story, and I made it out, and the things that I've achieved in my life, in my career, is really cool. But I'm like, are you sure there's a story there? Like, are you sure someone's gonna want to hear that or see that?" He's like, "No, believe me, trust me, you're gonna help so many people." And so, thankfully, I listened to him, and he did such an amazing job with telling my story. And my biggest thing going into it was I didn't want it to be sad and depressing. I didn't want people to leave watching it going, "Oh, well, that was sad, poor Bec." Um, I wanted people to feel empowered. I wanted people to feel strong. I wanted them to feel um, strong emotions leaving out of it, but not sad, and I didn't want people's sympathy. I wanted people to go, "Fuck yeah, that was fucking cool." Um, and I think we really hit the mark there. I think it touches on domestic violence and the things that happened to me, but it shows that domestic violence doesn't have to define you. It's something that can happen to you, but it doesn't define you. And what you do with that pain, what you do once you get knocked down, how you get up, and how you continue to get up in life, and that can transfer over to any aspect in life. It doesn't have to be, a relationship. It doesn't have to be domestic violence. It could be something in your career. It could be at work. It could be with family. Just life in general. You get knocked down, you get the fuck back up. And that was the message that I wanted to put out there, and he did really well doing that.
I will say I felt it was not a sad ending. It was obviously, I felt the emotion of the sadness throughout, but there was that empowering moments and then the feeling of, I mean, I haven't been through it, but if she could do it, and like it gave me strength that if for
Yeah.
whatever reason I am in that situation,
Yeah.
that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, everyone's tunnel is a different size, but in terms of that, there is hope, and that there's also community. I
Yeah.
think that your family, was so nice to be in this film, and give their side of the story as well too, because I don't know if how much you had spoken about it, or if they had shared anything that you weren't aware of. But
Yeah.
was there anything that came out? Sometimes things come out, even like you said, that you weren't, thinking that might even come out in the story. Had they said anything that came out that you were either surprised by or hadn't heard before?
Look, my family hadn't heard a lot of the intimate stuff that I spoke about. Like they knew
Okay.
obviously the extent of the abuse, but not, the details. So it kind of I had to prepare my dad for it because I didn't know how he was going to take it. But yeah, they were a little kind of taken off by it. But my mum was like the hit of the movie. She's like a little star in Tasmania now, and because we're in like I'm not there anymore, but where I grew up, it's a small little kind of tight knit community there. So she's a little star now. But she was the hit of it, and she did really well, kind of explaining my childhood and me as a kid. I wasn't the best kid, so my poor
I will
parents
say
now.
it was painted well for people that, again, like myself, that I'm in the boxing world.
Yeah,
We have a gym here that's called Girls Just Want to Box, and so but I'm not in the bare knuckle world or the MMA world. So the combat world, as you know,
yeah,
everyone thinks that everyone knows each other, and in
yeah.
some ways there is overlap, but in some ways there are none. So I hadn't heard your name before this, and so it was nice to be able to get to know you, other than obviously this story that you're sharing here.
Yeah,
Something that I would like to ask, if it's okay, is you know outside of the physical aspects of combat sport, because obviously you've done a bunch, not just boxing, but boxing is one of them. Did you find that the mental resilience from your combat sport helped you throughout the years of your time with him, and the abuse that had happened? I wonder if that played a helpful role in your either grieving through it process, through your getting through it process, to your getting out of it process.
yeah. Look, so the thing is, I found the sport when I met him. So I was
Yes.
growing in the combat sports while going through the abuse. So I think MMA definitely saved me and helped me get that mental toughness to leave, and the community that came with my gym, my coaches, my training partners. I had them there, and they played such a huge role in me feeling safe enough to leave. It definitely helped, but yeah, it's kind of bittersweet because I found the love of combat
Right.
sports while I found him, and it was at the same time. So it was like, I fell in love with combat sports, but then I was enduring the worst kind of abuse you can imagine. So it was very tough, but it also saved me. It's very complex because
That's
it's like I'm if I could turn back time and not meet him, like that would be the best thing, but I wouldn't have met combat sports. So it's just pretty hard. It's just like, I think things happen to you for a reason. I hate that saying, like, they wouldn't give you the tough tests if you weren't built for it. It's like, no, I could have done without the abuse. I could have done without the PTSD. I can't find a reason as to why I'd need to go through that to be who I am today. But for some reason, that was just my fate. And I'm just thankful that I have such a great community in my gym and my training partners and my coaches and my family that helped me get out of that.
okay. And I know that I'm short on time, but I want to ask one last question. I know you have a fight coming up this month. I don't know if it's next week or yeah, it'll be, I guess, a week this upcoming
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah, one
Um,
week.
how is, I guess, the premiere of this and the premiere coming out in the UK? How is all of that? Is that, tampering with your training and your mental prep or fueling it?
No, look, it's all kind of happened at a good time because I think it's such a great time that I'm on the world stage fighting and on the world stage is my documentary. I think it's beautiful, and I do a lot of media anyway leading up to my fights. We've kind of just combined it all, so I prefer to get it all out in one day, and then I can go back to focusing on training. But my fight camp's all wrapped up now anyway. I've just
Okay.
got a bit more conditioning and sharpening up to do. But my sparring was done yesterday. I've had a really good camp. I've got a really good team around me here in Australia. I think I do my best here when I'm with my family and my gym here in Australia. And yeah, it's been a really good fight camp, and I'm just really excited to fight. It's been too bloody long. I do not like taking time off. I've been sidelined for a year now, not by my choice. So
I would
I'm
say
just
that's
really,
a common theme with a lot of females in combat sport. Unfortunately, it's not enough. They always seem to be ready, but there
yeah,
never seems to be an opportunity for them to get
yes,
to showcase it. So
yes,
I'm glad that
yeah.
you're at least getting back
Thank
in
you.
there. It was really great to chat to you again. For anyone that hasn't seen Fight to Live, it is incredible, and I'm excited to show it to our community. I guess anything that you would say to anyone that either knows someone that's going through it right now or that is going through it themselves right now, any words that you would pass along?
I think the biggest message that I would like to get out there is speak to someone. I think don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be embarrassed. A lot of victims, I know how I felt. I felt embarrassed that I was allowing this to happen to me. And I think that was what stopped me from asking for help because I was so ashamed and embarrassed. But the shame is on them. You don't hold any shame and ask for help. There is help out there. There are people out there that will help, even if it's your neighbor, if it's a workmate, it's a school teacher. Um, just ask for help, and you will get help, and it will be okay. You will get out. And if you suspect someone that is going through it, ask them. Straight up ask them. Don't be afraid to ask the question because that question could lead to them opening up and you saving them. And it's really important to just ask, speak up, speak about it. Don't be embarrassed. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. Again, I really appreciate your time. I wish you all the best at your upcoming fight and
Thank
look
you.
forward to having, I guess, the rest of the world experience your film.
Thank you. Appreciate it.